So, when you hear the title Chief Information Officer, or CIO, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For a lot of people, it's the person who makes sure the Wi Fi is working and the servers don't go down. But you know what? That perception is seriously out of date. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on what a CIO really does, and we'll see just how different the common perception is from the reality of this super critical business role.
Right. This is the classic view, isn't it? The CIO is the head of IT. They're in charge of the company's technology plumbing. They handle the laptops, the software, the data centers. And while, yeah, that's part of the job, it's kind of like saying a chef's only job is to watch the ovens. It totally misses the art and the strategy behind it all.
And this slide just lays it out perfectly. On the left, you've got the perception, a tech manager keeping the lights on. But over on the right, you see the reality, a business leader who's actually driving growth and leading massive company-wide changes. We're not just talking about a different job description here. It's a completely different mindset. It's a whole new ballgame. So let's just quickly touch on this traditional view because you have to understand where this idea came from to really appreciate how much the role has changed. You know, for a long time, IT really was just a support function, a cost center. Its whole job was to keep the lights on. And so the CIO's role was all about these operational tasks, making sure email works, keeping the network stable, that kind of thing. Now, don't get me wrong, that stuff is still important. But today, it's just table stakes. It's the bare minimum, not where the real value is. Okay, now let's flip over to the modern reality, which is so much more strategic, so much more impactful. This is where the CIO becomes one of the most important people in the entire company. I mean, just look at what this role is about today. Influencing the board, making huge investment decisions, shaping business strategy. This isn't about managing servers anymore. This is about using technology as a weapon for business growth. To really get our heads around this, we can break the modern CIO's job down into 5 core responsibilities. Think of these like the 5 pillars that hold up the whole strategic function of the role. First and most importantly, it's not about technology. It's about understanding the business. A modern CIO's first question is never, what cool tech should we buy? It's always, what is the business trying to accomplish? So for example, if the company wants to boost customer loyalty, the CIO isn't just buying some new software. They're championing a whole new mobile app with a personalized rewards program, directly connecting a tech project to a real business goal. All right, let's talk about money. There's never enough of it, right? So the CIO is constantly making these incredibly tough trade-off decisions. Do we spend $10 million modernizing our old accounting system to lower our risk? Or do we put that same $10 million into a new AI project to get a jump on our competitors? See, those aren't tech decisions. They're high-stakes business calls with huge financial consequences. You know, having a brilliant strategy is great, but execution, that's everything. The CIO is the one who has to make it all happen. And this is way more than just managing a project plan. It's about navigating the insane complexity of organizational change. Think about it. Moving to a new cloud platform means you have to retrain hundreds of people, redesign core processes, and do it all without messing things up for your customers. It's a massive undertaking. And then there are the people. A huge part of the CIO's job is managing all the different stakeholders and their competing priorities. The CEO wants growth, the CFO wants to cut costs, the head of sales needs a new tool now. The CIO has to juggle all of these demands, building consensus, and making sure everyone's pulling in the same direction. It's basically a masterclass in corporate diplomacy. And finally, the CIO can't just be focused on today. They have to be looking 3, 5, even 10 years down the road. What's the rise of generative AI going to mean for our industry? The CIO is the one leading that charge, maybe spinning up a team to prototype new AI tools for customer service, making sure the company is ready to thrive in the future, not just survive it. So we've talked about what the job is, but what does it actually look like day to day? How does a CIO really spend their time? I think the answer is going to surprise you. Just think about it for a second. With all of those strategic, financial, and people-focused duties, how much of their week do you think is spent deep in the technical weeds versus something else entirely? Well, here is the reveal. Take a look at this. Less than 30% of a CIO's time is spent on pure technology. The vast majority, we're talking over 70%, is spent on people, priorities, and decisions. It's spent in budget meetings, in strategy sessions, and making those tough trade-off calls we were just talking about. So this brings up a really good question. If the role is so focused on business, why does that old tech-focused idea still stick around? Well, there are a few key reasons for this knowledge gap. First off, there's a huge visibility gap. The most important things a CIO does, like negotiating budgets with a CFO or aligning on strategy in a board meeting, it all happens behind closed doors. Most employees only ever see the final result, like a new piece of software. They don't see the months of complex business decisions that went into it. Second, there's the powerful pull of history. I mean, for decades, IT was just a support function. That idea got burned into the business culture, and like any old habit, it's been really, really slow to change, even though technology has completely transformed everything. And finally, a lot of the content you see online kind of makes the problem worse. It's just way easier to write an article about some new tech framework than it is to explain the messy, complex art of managing stakeholders or making strategic bets. So the whole public conversation ends up focusing on the tools, not the leadership. Okay, so why does any of this matter to you? Well, if you're working in technology and you have any ambition for a leadership role, understanding this reality is absolutely critical for your career. This right here is the key takeaway. You have to understand technology. Of course you do. That's the price of admission. But your technical skills alone will not get you to the C-suite. It's just not enough anymore. So if you want to make that leap one day, here's what you need to focus on. You have to get a deep understanding of how the business actually works and makes money. You need to start thinking in terms of ROI and financial trade-offs. You have to become a fantastic communicator. And you need to get comfortable making tough calls with incomplete information. The bottom line is this. The journey from IT manager to CIO isn't about becoming a better technologist. It's about becoming a better business leader. And the sooner you recognize that fundamental shift, the faster you're going to accelerate your journey to the top. So I'll leave you with this one question to think about. Take a good, honest look at how you spend your time and what you're trying to learn. Are you actively building the business skills you need to lead, or are you just staying in your comfort zone focused only on the technology? The answer to that question is going to define your future.